All right.
All right, bro, we're live.
Okay. All right. And I'm on it now as well.
All right. You shared yours already?
Yes, I'm about to share it. No, I'm not. Didn't share it yet. Hold on. No, I didn't.
I got it.
Okay, cool. Where'd you go?
I'm on the church's Facebook page. Mike Anthony Jackson. All right. So yeah, just post it to your page. All right. So you should be good to go.
Okay. All right, so I guess we can start, just doing some chit chatting. What are we going to be talking about today? I want to say happy Sabbath to everybody that's watching us. Well, it's only me and you, I guess, right now, but everybody that's going to come on, say again. Everybody that's watching us now, everybody that's going to be watching in the future. Peace and grace and happy Sabbath to all. Hope everybody had a good Sabbath. We are going to be talking about color and race, and does it really matter? So just current events. Me and Devin always try to talk about things that are current, topics that are current to today's world, as well as what's just basically what's going on. We have some cool slides. We have some cool videos. Have some cool articles, and just talk about this stuff biblically. Does it really matter? Does God even care? About color. Where did it come from? Yeah, I mean, you have anything you say? I mean, guess we can still wait for certain people to still come on. There's only 2 people now.
It's really strong. Also, during the conversation, remember you can post your comments, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube watching this, and we'll see the comments and we'll reply to the comments during the video. And we'll make sure we read the comments so everybody else can be edified by the things that you're saying. You said you have videos, bro?
Yeah, but we might not get too far into it. So, I did have one video that was at the bottom.
I think I missed that. Just so we
That's
can
fine.
Description so we won't get blocked as our.
Okay.
If we get to it, we'll adjust it later. All right.
Okay.
So while we getting started, as people drawing on, you want to open up into prayer, then we can start going through the slideshow.
Yep. Yes. So, all right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again, as always, for another gracious Sabbath day. Hopefully, everyone had a peaceful and edifiable Sabbath day. Hopefully, everyone is, just getting more knowledge and learning and wisdom in your name. As we always go through this, just hopefully, we go through keep the right spirit in the right conversation with this, as long as trying to learn from each other as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so go ahead, Devin.
Just want to, as we always say, as people slowly come on, just give us a happy Sabbath, grace and peace, let you know you're there, and we can go from there. Do a little check-in so we know who's watching and who's not, and just so we'll know. So as people come on, yeah, like Mike did. All right.
All right, so like we talked about in the beginning, we like to always just stay current with the current events and see what's going on. And one of the things that me and Devin wanted to talk about was color. Does it really matter? And that's the title of today's topic: is color doesn't really matter. We know that the Lord, doesn't see. No, he's not a respected person. So the Lord not being a respected person, does he really see color? And does it really matter? And if not, where did color come from? Where did this distinction between color and things like that come from? So happy Sabbath, Brother Jacob. How you doing, bro? Happy anniversary, too. I saw that earlier on. So where did colorism come from? where did these things come from? So again, we know that the Lord just cares about your works. He just cares about what you've done and if you're following his laws and statutes correctly. We know that Israel, who are the true Jewish people of the Bible, we know that, there are black people, there are a black nation, but, even Israel, if you're not following his laws and statutes, we understand that the Lord doesn't really care. He never really broke us up into color. He really broke us up into tribes, nations, culture, etc. So we're going to take a breakdown and look at that. Debbie, have anything you want to say before we get into the PowerPoint?
No, that even when everything said and done, like you were saying, it didn't matter what nationality you're even from if you worship God according to his laws. Like Ezekiel, like Ezekiel 47 says that when a stranger be like one that is born in the land,
Right.
You can say he's not a respected person. The same thing he expected for Israel is the same thing he expected for all the sons and daughters of Adam.
Right. All right, so I'm going to share my screen for a little bit, and we'll be in and out of this. We're just going to use this as a guide. Please, like Devin said earlier, if you guys have any comments, anything that we missed, anything you guys want to add, just go ahead and jump right in as always. Happy Sabbath, Sister Rika. Happy Sabbath. Who else was there? Miss Betty Tyler. Happy Sabbath to you as well. Happy Sabbath, Isaiah K. And we're going to go ahead and get started. You have to disable my
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
There you go.
Okay. All right. So again, the color of Israel, does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? All right. So your picture is blocking my view. So, like we said earlier, does God care about color? We already talked about this. People in the world were classified as, tribal and where they were from, not really by color. It was a systematic way of making one nation more superior than the other. And we're going to take a look at all of this as we go throughout the whole thing. We understand too, as Israel and as a people in general, just trying to come together. If we regain our true God, then, our communities and everything else would, really flourish. And we saw that when, we came out of the wilderness, and I'm talking about Israel right now, the sons of Shem. We came out of Israel and, we were a great nation and we were a nation to be looked upon. Our communities were developed. So, a lot of people always say, how come our communities aren't thriving like it should be? And it's because we don't have our, true God to actually back us up. So, Noah's 3 sons repopulated the world. And we wanted to start here, me and Devin, because, I don't know any history of the world before the flood. I know we have the Bible, obviously, but, I don't know any encyclopedias or anything to talk about how, the world was before Noah came, before the floods happened. So, we mostly likely we were going to start here because we understand that Noah's 3 sons repopulated the world. His 3 sons were Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And we're going to take a look at all of those 3 sons, but let's go talk about Ham at first. Let's go to Genesis chapter 10. And like I said, this is going to be a quick breakdown. We can have a lesson about this, like a 2-hour lesson about this, but we're just going to do so quickly so we can get to, everybody's comments, because I'm pretty sure it's a topic everybody wants to talk about. Oh, Brother Jacob actually said something. I'm gonna read that real quick, Devin.
Oh yeah, I got it.
So Jacob said, it only has an identity context pertaining to the identifying true Israel, a people replaced by another. Agreed. You assuming you were talking about just the color aspect, Brother Jacob, and just identifying who true Israel is. All right, Devin. So let's jump into it. Let's go to Ham's. Let's go to Genesis chapter 10. Mm-hmm. And we're going to read verses 6 through 10. Try to stay on topic.
All right, Genesis 10, verses 6 through 10.
Yes, sir.
And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And the
Mhm.
sons of Cush, Sheba, Havilah, and Sabbathah, and Ramah, and Sabtecha. And the son of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan.
Uh-huh.
And Cush begot Nimrod, and he became a mighty one in the earth. He was a
Uh-huh.
mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord.
Uh-huh.
The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, in the land of Shinar.
All right, so we're just basically a quick rundown of Ham's sons. We understand, most of us do understand that these are an African people that we're talking about, different than the people, African Americans today, but we'll get into that. But I just wanted to take a look at one of the sons of Ham, and Nimrod. You know, it says here that Nimrod was a. Oh yeah, go ahead, Devin. You can read that. That definitely is what we want to talk about.
All right, so since we're talking about Ham, I have the Zordovan Combat Bible Dictionary, and it's a description of Ham. And it says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negro, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So the Negro, which is the African American, we're not descendants of Ham.
Right.
The only way we're related to Ham is through just because they go back to Noah. But other than that, we're like you spoke about, find out we're Semitic people.
Right.
So that's how we can't be anti-Semitic. We'll be anti ourselves. So when
Yeah.
brothers and sisters over in Jerusalem say about being anti-Semitic, we're Semitic as well. So
Right. Right.
go ahead, bro.
Right. Yep. So agree with that, Devin. And also I wanted to point out, I don't know if everybody can see on the PowerPoint, the slide, I should say, stop calling the PowerPoint, on the slide, you know, in verse 10, it talked about in the land of Shinar. And a lot of people always like to say, well, the Bible isn't an accurate history book. So, but we understand that that's not true, because the things that you can see in the Bible, things that you read in the Bible, you can chase it down through Wikipedia, the encyclopedia, et cetera. And that's what we did here. You know, we talk about Shinar, and that definition, I mean, you know, the describing it is in the Bible, a country on the lower courses of the Tigris and Euphrates River. And I've jumped down to the red, the red print. It states in the Old Testament, the southern part of the valley of the Tigris Euphrates, often identified with Sumer and Babylonia. And we saw that, you know, when Nimrod, you know, ruled, you know, he started Babel, which is Babylon. So, you know, you can start chasing down these tribes and the descendants and these names. And we saw that, you know, like Devin said, it really wasn't about color and race. It was more so about, you know, what family, what tribe you were from. I'm going to read a comment. This is Kimberly Williams. Kim said, there is probably some mixing of genes though. Right. Yeah. Is anybody really pure?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only thing we're purely descendants of Adam.
Right.
You know, other than that, you know, it's all through our history and lineage. There, of course, there are other nations, and which is fine. It's not, it's not a problem. You know.
Right. Yeah.
I guess you might not be a pure royal blood, should we say?
Right.
Because like you said, God is not a respected person, and the whole bottom line is that you serve Him, but we still identify where we come from. You know.
Exactly. Guys, if anybody has anything to say up until this point, we definitely can. You know, we love the feedback, but if not, we're going to try to keep on pushing through this so we can open up for discussion later on. So, Devin, let's go to verse 13 real quick in Genesis 10.
All right, verse 13. And Mizraim begot Ludim and Ananim and Lehabim and Naphtuhim.
Yeah, whatever that name is, right?
Yeah.
So we understand Mizraim, you know, most of us that, you know, have been doing this understand that is Egypt. That is talking about, you know, again, the dark nations, the dark land. And again, we can chase down some of this lineage, not just through the Bible, but also through, you know, some of the books that we have now, like encyclopedia, the internet, Google, whatever. So this comes from the Easton's Bible, and that is Mizraim, which is the dual form of Mazoro, meaning a mound or fortress, the name of the people descending from Ham. It was the name generally given by the Hebrews to the land of Egypt and may denote the two Egypts, the upper and lower. The modern Arabic name for Egypt is Mizraim. So it's kind of pieced together what Mizraim is now.
So that lets us know that Mizraim or Egypt or Africa were actually Black people, because a lot of people don't realize, you know, even to this day, a lot of people don't realize that the original Egyptians were Black. They think they think they were the Arabs. You know, they don't realize that the Egyptians, of course, were conquered by the Arabs. Right. So the Egyptians that are there now aren't the original Egyptians. Right. And plus, movies and documentaries now, they pretty much, you know, the phrase whitewash everything.
Yes.
People in the land were actually, you know, dark skinned.
Right, right. You think that, and also too, what they did over there with the Sphinx when they basically desecrated the nose or whatever, because that's like a form of understanding what type of people that were over there. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Devin. Jacob had a quote. I'm sorry, he said, but outside of identifying Israel and Jesus, because he's been replaced too, it's a low-hanging fruit skin color. Cannot keep us out of the lake righteousness does. Right. You're absolutely 100% agree with you, Jacob. You know.
Now we know the Bible does mention about skin color. Mm-hmm. It is, but it's not like the end all be all. Like that's the only way he does, you know.
Right. And you know, and like Jacob said, you know, it doesn't matter what it is, because, you know, at the end of the day, your righteousness is going to get you, you know, either in the kingdom in the lake of fire, or in the kingdom with him and forever. So let's keep it moving. The guys, again, like I said, if you guys want to comment other than Jacob, anybody else want to comment on this, you definitely can. We're going to get into Japhet, and we're going to kind of skip over Shem right now. And let's just talk about Japhet, who, you know, is in rule today. You know, the Gentile nations is their time to rule right now. So let's just talk about them a little bit, some of their descendants, and where some of this stuff has changed. It went from tribal or nationalities to colorism, or, you know, coloring. So, all right, Devin, when you get there, we're going to go to Genesis chapter, we're going to stay in chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 2 through 5.
And the sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog, Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, and Rivkah, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, and Kittim, and Dudanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, everyone after his tongue, after their families, and their nation.
So that's very important, because, you know, it talked about how, you know, his descendants and the Gentiles are divided in their lands after their tongue, their families, and their nations, but not once did it say anything about color. Not once did it say anything about, you know, anything else but, you know, where their land was from. And also, you know, families, which is, you know, descendants and their nations. So, you know, where did this come from? Where did these chains come from? You Devin, got anything you want to say? Are you good?
No. Go ahead, bro. Keep going.
Okay. So I got some links, and, you know, I'm pretty sure you guys can read some of this stuff yourself, but you know, where did this come from? And I've always heard that, you know, race has always been an issue since the beginning of time. And we understand that, you know, maybe, you know, culturally and families warned against other families, that might have been the case, but not necessarily colorism, not necessarily race. And it was started by, you know, some influential men during the Enlightenment times that wanted to shift the balance of power to them, because they look different than 75% of the world. You know, white people as a whole, you know, it's more minorities, people of color in the world than there are white people. So say again, Devin, I'm sorry.
Europeans.
Yes, I'm sorry, I should say Europeans. You're right. I apologize. So, for somebody to actually psychologically hold power over you, they have to make you think a certain way. They have to they have to classify you and make you feel as though you're inferior. So let's take a look at
manipulation.
Right, exactly, manipulation. So we're gonna go to the Britannica website, and I think I can do it through here, through my thing. Can you guys see that? Okay. So I want to talk about a person named Arthur D. Gobineau, however you say his name, as soon as these pop-ups stop happening.
We can't see your screen at all. Only thing we see is the still.
You can't see my screen? All right, so let me stop sharing, try to share.
Yeah, your screen is still stuck on the PowerPoint.
Okay, so I'm gonna come out of that and then I'm gonna go try to share my screen again. Maybe that was it. Can y'all see that now?
You're good.
Okay, all right, so I wanna talk about a guy named Arthur D. Gobineau, or, Joseph Arthur, whatever that is. It's French though. But this is one of the people that was, responsible for changing, nationalistic views in terms of color views. So I just want to read just a couple of sentences from here. And it states that, this dude was a French diplomatic writer, ethnologist, and social thinker whose theory of racial determinism, and it had an enormous influence upon the subsequent development of racist theories and practices in Western Europe. These ideas happened during the Enlightenment period, or the Renaissance period that Europeans like to talk about, during the early 17th and 18th century. I'm gonna go down a little bit just to, again, read, some of the things he was responsible for. So here in Issa Gobina, which is one of his books that he wrote, many of his books that he wrote, asserted the superiority of the white race over others and labeled the Aryans, i.e. the Germanic peoples, as representing the summit of civilization. He advanced the theory that the fate of civilizations is determined by racial composition, that white and in particular Aryan societies flourish as long as they remain free of black and yellow strains, and that the more a civilization's racial character is diluted through misconation, I think that's how you pronounce that word, the more likely it is to lose its vitality and creativity and sink into corruption and immorality. So those are some of the theories that, long before, after he died, that we're still trying to come off of even today. That way of thinking, that way of thought process, and psychologically is done damage, not just here in the United States, but throughout the world, of people that are outside the European race.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have anything you want to say, Debbie? You want to just keep me move on?
I guess it's going to take a lot of deprogramming there for that to change.
Right.
Because, people, even like we were watching the 13th, to the point that they had to program people to think that black male was a criminal. So when he said you were programmed to think that it was a war on African American males.
Right.
Because they always show, us in a bad light. Whether, even from that movie that they came out with called Birth of a Nation, where they showed the KKK foreman and it was saving the white woman from being raped by a black man, and that through media, what they doing now is already programming people to fear the black man and make us look inferior to them, and like we're a bunch of savages who just want to rape white women.
Right.
It's programmed in us pretty well in the world pretty deep.
Yeah, you're right, Devin. It's very deep, very deep. Brother Jacob came up with another comment. He had posted, well, we all know that Adam was formed from the dust of the ground. And when Adam and Eve sinned, they hid amongst the trees in the garden. And we know that trees are dark. The ground is too. I'm just saying, right, 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 right.
I'm just a lot of shaded dirt. You know.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Like the saying, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm just playing around. So,
but yeah, like you said, it's something that's been programmed through centuries, and
right.
it's going to take a lot of deprogram for it to change. But we know ultimately a lot of this stuff ain't going to get better for us until the Lord returns and we get our own selves together. Because like the scriptures say, He's going to recompense it. He's going to pay back and different things like that. Can you hear me?
Right. Agreed. Yes, I hear you. I hear you. You said recompense. That's the only thing I heard. That was the last thing I heard.
Oh, that's it. I start with that.
Right. Yes, so we got to leave it in, in the Lord's hands, and that's why we talking about this, because you're actually right, Devin. Like, we understand that, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it might be a fight we're having now, but does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? And the answer is not really. Yeah, things have to be done, but not really. So I'm just going to jump back over because I want to share another link up. I'm going to read Eureka's comment first. So Eureka said, the Lord placed Israel in seniority, not superiority, over the nations. I like that. I like that a lot, Sister Eureka. For example, Exodus chapter 19, verse 5, Genesis chapter 43, verse 33 through 33, and Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 2. You want to take a look at that real quick, Devin? I can actually read that if you want, or you want to read that?
I got it. You can keep going with your.
Okay, so I'm just going to continue to go on with the slides, guys. I'm going to share my screen again. I want to talk about another, because it just didn't stop with, that young man. It also, happened. It was a whole system. And I don't know if you guys ever heard of how people used to try to tell you that, hey, I'm the supreme race because my skull size is bigger than yours, or so vice versa. I know I never heard no one say that to me, but I've heard the pseudoscience of people saying that. So, and this is where this brother right here, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, he had came up with that science. So real quick, can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, this brother right here, he was a individual who studied species and explained such variations. He proposed that a force operates on organisms as they develop. And, basically he was a natural historian and theorist. One of his theorists, I'm going to jump down to the paragraph I want to get to. All right, so here we go. So, okay, so he applied the Bloomsbury concept, or whatever it's called. I can't pronounce some of these words, I apologize. Concept in his following works, and various scholars utilize this concept. In this second edition of On the Natural Varieties of Mankind, Bloomberg used the Bloomstroke, whatever, to explain the degeneration of an original type of human into 5 varieties, which he later classified as Caucasians, Mongolian, Malayan, Ethiopian, and American. And he founded this around the world. The Contributions to Natural History, which was published in 1790, Bloomberg described how that were operated after the biblical flood to produce a new species. So just to summarize this brother here, he had, created that mindset of getting, there's distinct differences between all the 5 races, Caucasians being one, and then everybody else under them. And if you went from lightest to darkest, so the Asians, some of some of the Indians, and so on and so forth. And he
You know
did
what?
that.
You keep going, but I'm gonna grab a book real quick. I think I got something to show from this book.
Okay. Okay. All right. So again, he distinguished this into these five. What happened? Hello?
We hear you.
Yeah, I just keep on going in and out. I don't know why. So, but he made this as like, this is the criteria. And the reason why they did this during that period was to kind of justify slavery. I know you guys probably heard, what is it, 4/5 of a man or 1/5 of a man or wherever it was said in the Constitution.
Yeah.
The why they made that, the reason why they felt comfortable, Europeans saying that is because of brothers like him coming up with these scientific pseudo crap saying that, they were the superior race.
Right.
We'll get to some of these comments.
And it's also what Darwin's whole
Yes. Yeah.
they had to find like the missing link really was an African American. So
right.
We should have had it. Oh,
that's fine. I'm going to read some of the comments while you do that. Okay. That's it right there. Yeah, yep, it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Where'd you find that, bro?
It's like the last too many years.
Oh, I have that too.
Yeah, so this is what he was talking about right here. He put everybody in different classifications, but the white man was a superior out of the Caucasus Mountains. Caucasian came from the other books tell us that that's where the cradle of civilization came from.
Right. So I'm glad I couldn't find the actual picture for that, so that's why I didn't have it. I'm glad you did that, because again, it goes into that way they had to psychologically trick you into thinking that you were inferior.
Right.
So I'm gonna read some of the comments. Brother Jacob said amen to Sister Rika. Then that was a great, what's the name? Seniority, not superiority. I really like that. Sister Rika also put, this is why the middle wall of partition has to be broken down to allow us to be one. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 14. That's another, script we can definitely read. Great research. Praise be to God. Thank you. And what does your shirt say? Oh, yeah. So it's it says top 5 Dead or Alive's my favorite rappers of all time. It goes from Jay-Z, Eminem, Nas, Tupac, and Biggie. Sorry. Yeah, so that's all it is.
The other guys, why I didn't know who Nas was. How come you don't have a pink hat on? His name Nas X?
Yeah. Well, Eminem, my wife is messing with me. Don't start no trouble, Devin. Oh man. All right, so yeah, I forgot where I was now. Devin, you want to talk about anything else?
So basically, you're saying that about doing his research, he was saying that I guess the Caucasians have a bigger brain, so there's a superior ones.
Right. And we know that some of that stuff, now has been debunked, throughout. Brother Isaiah said something. Oh, brother, dad made it funny. Yeah, I tell you what, man, y'all think Devin be killing me all the time on the low. Oh man. But all right, well, let's go to one more place, Devin. I'd just like to get into the slide. And again, you guys can keep on jumping in. Thank you for the feedback. As always, it makes things a lot better. So I'm gonna share my screen one more time. And I'm gonna go back. Okay. So I think this one basically talks about that period we're in, the Enlightenment period, and the dark side of it, because a lot of people think that, that's where our great thinkers of the day, who established how we think in what the world is today, that's where it came from. But, we know that it's to the contrary, because again, most of these thoughts that people have come dark thoughts, I guess I could say, comes from these brothers and sisters here. So I just want to go to what it says here in this article. Let me move this over. The Enlightenment is having a renaissance of sorts. A handful of centrist and conservative writers.
Can't see it.
Oh, you can't? Uh-oh.
I got the scriptures also that Eureka
Oh, yeah.
posted.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's read those, Devin.
She also said colorism amongst ourselves. When did that begin? Sure, before Spike Lee's School Days. Oh, that's true.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie, by the way.
So Sister Eureka posted Exodus 19:5.
Mhm.
Says, therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. That's he's talking to the children of Israel.
Right.
All right. And she said, what was her quote again? We was opposed to. I didn't hear. What was the quote she said? Well, while we were reading these scriptures.
I'm going in and out. It must be the connection I have here.
Okay. It said the Lord placed Israel in seniority, not superiority. All right. So here he's saying that the children of Israel will be a priest nation. Genesis 43.
I can read that because I'm actually here in Genesis already, 43 actually.
Okay.
All right, so Genesis 43, what's the verse?
What the heck is that?
What's that?
No, somebody posted something weird. But Genesis 43 verses 30 through 33.
Okay, and it says, and Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother, and he sought where to weep, and he entered into his chamber and wept there.
Mm-hmm.
And he washed his face and went out and refrained himself and said, set on bread. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and for the Egyptians which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. I apologize. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled one at another.
And so there was a distinct difference between Israel and the Egyptians here.
Right.
It wasn't
Right.
skin color because they're the same color. It was
Right.
ethnicity.
Right.
Right. So then in Nehemiah 2, which I got it right here.
Okay.
9 verse 2 it says, and the seed of Israel separated themselves from strangers and stood and confessed their sins and the iniquity of their fathers. So right, it wasn't a color thing; it was a nationality thing, even there.
Right. And thanks for the scripture, Eureka, and everybody else that posts them, because it's just, edifying from each other.
And like Sister Eureka was saying, that even the whole colorism, even amongst us, is real bad about skin tone. You know,
Yeah.
you have people who are actually bleaching their skin, like the baseball player.
Yeah. Sammy Sosa.
Yeah, he went from being about our skin tone. Now he really, he's really, really, really light. Have you seen?
Right. And this is because
we think just because of dark we are, it's not a good thing. So that not only carried over from how they treat us, is even carried over to how we treat ourselves. Right.
I have a question, since just going off the topic. Well, actually, still on the topic. When did that start? When Sister Eureka, that was a good point. The colorism between ourselves. I was talking to a brother, and I had mentioned that it started during the slave times, where the house Negro and the field Negro. And he told me that was false. I couldn't find any. I did research and I couldn't find anything about that. Does anyone know when that started?
I wouldn't say it was a house Negro, and well, I don't have an article on this, but I read through
Okay.
history that sometimes the white slave master, in order to subdue the savageness of the slave woman that he would sleep with her,
Okay.
child came out lighter than
Right.
it was less savage than the other,
Okay.
which is a bunch of garbage. And of course, they were less intimidated by lighter slaves than they were for the darker ones. So that's just like I said, it was
Okay.
something feed into us. And now, even nowadays, you know, through television, on TV, you always see the light skinned sisters or light skinned brothers. And for the first time, even though somebody was making fun of it, I even saw the brown paper bag test. You ever heard of that?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I didn't know what it was until I saw somebody making fun of it. And they was actually going up to
Yeah.
women and men and putting the brown paper bag next to them. Anyone that was darker couldn't get on TV. They were being silly, but I didn't know this.
Right.
So it's
Right.
a lot, I guess, self-hate even within ourselves over this topic that we're talking about.
Right. And right. And yeah. And we're not laughing because it's I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just like it's psychological warfare that has done, like you were saying, Devin, for centuries. That we are now just getting hip to the game of it happening.
Right.
All right. Any more scriptures, Devin, or? Oh, we have another comment. This is from Michelle. She asked Sister Michelle, she said, they feel the power of God from dark skin and it causes them to fear. Yeah. I actually, it's funny, because, I was actually, never mind. It doesn't relate. We're good. Don't worry about it.
You want to show the video you're saying? And it's a lot of psychologicalness that does that, even to, I know we're talking about skin color, but that's a big deal, even in the Black community. It is spread over us like bad. You have a lot of people who have low self-esteem because their skin is not light. Children go through that.
Right.
They hate their skin color, and actually we're made in the image of God.
Right.
Like it says in Revelation about the skin of bronze and hair lamb's wool, and then even if you don't have that, whatever God created you as, he did a wonderful job creating you as an individual. It's just the side
exactly, bro. Exactly, bro. Exactly. And that was the dangers of what these brothers, we were reading about in articles have done. They made it so that, we have to think that way. But good to know. The only paper bags I know about are the paper bags the Cleveland Browns. Man. Man. Yeah. They feel okay. That's what she had put. Michelle corrected. They power. Right. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, like you say, bro, it was psychologically damaging because not only within our communities. I have a friend, a Spanish friend. He was just telling me about how he's a darker Puerto Rican, and he was just talking about how some of them even look down on him because he's not lighter. He looks like me and you. But even some of the people that he knows look down on him because he's not like a lighter race. So
yeah. In the 90s, it was always the whole light-skinned brother thing until Wesley Snipes came.
Leslie put us back. Oh man. All right, so okay, so we can get anything else, Devin? I'm sorry, I was going to just all right. So I'm going to share my screen once again, unless anybody else has anything else to say. I am going to. All right, I'm going to skip over that one because we basically already talked about. Let's get into Shem and his descendants to kind of wrap this up a little bit. So everybody's on here probably familiar with the the lineage of Shem, being as though, we've been studying this forever. But let's go to, let's talk about it a little bit. I'm just going to read some of the names off. And if you can see, just read along with me. In red, from Noah, he had Shem, which was the firstborn, I believe, of Noah's sons. Then after that, you had Aphraxt, Selah, Eber, Peleg, Ru, Shurug, Norah, Terah. Then from Terah, you had Abraham, who was, the father. From there, you got Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, Reuben. Then you got the 12 tribes: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Gad, Asher, Dan, Naphtali, Joseph, and Benjamin. And if we go further, we can go all the way down to Jesus. But again, we just for shortness of time, I just wanted to show that chart if anybody has never seen it before. Devin, you got anything you want to say? If not, you want to go to Genesis chapter 42?
Yeah, I go there.
Okay, I was gonna read one of the comments that Sister Rika put. Who was the dark-skinned woman that brought the dark-skinned woman in? And so, good for me. Wonder if my wife is listening. She probably is. I got in trouble for this years ago. Say again. Who? Oh, Kimberly Williams. Yeah. Good answer, Devin. Good answer. But for me, I used to like what's the name? Gabrielle Union way back when I was a young guy. But that was a good answer. I wish I'd have said Beverly Johnson. I said my mom, I guess. Dad on it. Oh man. All right, so let's go to Genesis chapter 42. And we already talked about a bunch of this, and Sister Rika, thank you for putting out your post, but we're talking about a bunch of this about how we were always being confused with and the Hamite nations and how we basically all like look alike. So just want to get into that just a little bit, and talk about Joseph and his brothers and how they even confused them. So I'm sorry, how Joseph even confused them. He didn't recognize them, I should say. So when you get bro, go ahead and read.
Now, when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, why do you look upon another? And he said, behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get ye down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph's 10 brethren went down to buy corn in Egypt. But
so
Benjamin,
we understand, I'm sorry. So we understand that this is during the famine, when Egypt was the power of the world and Joseph saved the world, from, famine. And the 10 years of famine and things like that. And Jacob told his sons to go down and get food. So just, to summarize, go ahead, bro.
But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, let's peradventure mischief befall him. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn amongst those that came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was governor over the land. And he it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. And he said unto them, whence come ye? And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. They knew not him.
Right. So just wanted to point that out that, they should recognize their own brother, right? But because number one, he was probably dressed in the different type of garb. And number two, we have similar, skin color, different features, but this goes to show you that it's not always the case that, Egyptians, like you were saying, Egyptians that are there now weren't the Egyptians that were there before. They were a darker race. What you laughing at?
Kim test me picture of a white lady named Kimberly Williams.
Oh. Oh man, send me that later. I want to see what she look like. But again, we were similar. We know that Moses, when Moses was sent down the stream, he kind of blended in with the rest of the African nations. We know that when we got kicked out of Jerusalem, we ran down to Africa because we blended in with our Hamite brothers. You know, let's go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 19 to take another example of that. Exodus chapter 19. It was like I said, we're gonna go to one verse from here, verse 19.
And they said, an Egyptian deliver us out of the hand of the shepherds, and also drew water enough for us and water the flock.
All right. So, you know, this is when, you know, Moses was Moses was going, and I think what was his name? The father of Zipporah?
Not Jethro, that was Jethro.
It was Jethro, you know, you're right, Jethro. You know, Jethro, and then he said, you know, who is he? And he was like, oh, you know, he's an Egyptian. You know, probably because he had the Egyptian garb, but if they looked so different than us, and they wouldn't have talked about, you know, the garb, or they would have said he's an Israelite or he's so and so because of the color. So just goes, color was not the determining factor of, you know, how people, you know, compare themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read some of the comments from Father Bride. Oh, I think I've seen that too. I can't remember where it was though. I mean, what she looked like though. I'm looking up.
I should have said Kimberly Lowe Williams.
Yeah, you can't deny that. Debbie, you got anything else you want to say? If not, we go Lamentations chapter 4.
No, I'll go ahead and go Lamentations.
All right. So, and this is just basically describing who Israel is. You know, just if we're going to talk about color. You know, God did give us some descriptions. There's other examples of this, but you know, it wasn't the end all to be all, for lack of better words. All right. When you get there, bro, go ahead and read.
Verse 8. Verse 8, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, their visage is blacker than coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaved to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick.
Right. So, you know, we were the Shemite people, which was us, looked like, you know, sort of, we had the same color as the Hamite people. And this proves that, you know, Israel was a black people.
Right, because when we get ill, we get darker.
Yes.
I said the visage was blacker than coal because they were especially sick.
Yeah.
You know, how sick other nations get, they don't get black as a coal. Well, besides Hamites.
Yeah.
Right. Brother Jacob just made another point too.
Yeah, I was just reading that too. Yo, remember to ID Moses, God turned Moses' hand white as a sign to Israel, right? Question. I got a question for, you know, you guys, everyone is here. So my daughter was talking about earlier, you know, why does Japhet, you know, why are they white and the rest of the other two sons are, you know, black? And you know, basically, like, what happened? Was it because of what you just said, Jacob? You know, was it leprosy? Was it because God turned them into a first people? Say again, Devin.
That's not it. Yeah, it's not leprosy. That's. I heard some black people say that white people came from leprosy.
Right, I did too.
Yeah, that's not it at all.
So was Japhet always white?
Maybe not. He could have got lighter over the years as they migrated to the different parts of the earth.
Right.
Look, even like Esau. Esau was born red and hairy.
Right.
So it was two distinct skin colors even within the womb. Right. But as time progressed, you can get lighter as you know, as time progressed, because they weren't in that region anymore. Mm-hmm. Because even like our skin tone our melanin actually serves a purpose for where we're from. You know. Mm-hmm. We're from hot climates in this place.
Say one more time, Devin. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said our melanin in our skin actually serves a purpose from what we came from the region that we're actually from. There's a reason why we're dark, because we're closer to the equator. Where
and you know what? Right.
So it serves a purpose.
And, you know, that's what my wife said.
Huh?
Right. No, so that's what my wife said. So my wife gave her that explanation you just gave her. The melanin in our skin is, you know, because you're, you know, where you are in the sun. You're absolutely right, Devin. You know, that's only way I can explain it. You know, the whole leprosy thing, I heard that before too. I couldn't answer that. I was like, I don't know.
Leprosy is.
Go ahead.
Never see it. Believe you me, that's the least you got to worry about is your skin changing colors. That's a bad disease.
Right. So Kim said my grandma said it was leprosy. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that. I've heard that before. So I think it was actually in the book I read. One of the books, I think Timbuktu or something like that. I think one of the brothers there said almost the same thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That's just like saying black
okay.
people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, so
Yeah. Is that reverse racism?
But yeah, bro. All right. So it's time is 7:02 according to your time, 6:02 my time. Man, that was good. That was a good presentation, bro. I mean, you ran with it for majority of it. It was pretty good. Yeah, the research you got was spot on. You know what,
bro?
I should have looked up that stuff about the Caucasus Mountains, so the history of the Caucasus Mountains.
I gave it to you late, so that was my fault. I apologize.
That's fine. When we do this again, we'll make sure we come back around to it later down the line. But I want to thank everybody who's watching for a great conversation. Those who added their comments to it made it really what makes it better. It's not just because me and Mike, it's because we all conversate one another and add to the conversation. We talk to each other like adults, and the Lord bless us with a lot of wisdom. And share with one another is how we grow. So once again, as always, if you guys have anything you want to talk about, of course, post it on our YouTube page or on our Facebook page under the video, and we'll see it. And if you got something you want to talk about next week, let us know, or we'll add it to the list and everything. So we're gonna call it a day. You know, that's about it. Oh, please,
sorry.
Yeah, sorry you missed it, man. You gotta watch School Days later on, bro.
Yeah, all right, man. I love that movie. I forgot.
I haven't seen that show in so long with Lawrence Fishburne and all them. And the dude off Walking Dead, not Walking Dead, not Better Call Saul. What's the name of that other one? With he had Polo Chicken. What's the name
Polo
of that
Chicken.
movie? Yeah, what's the name of that show? With the dude who had the hat on, he was making a school teacher. He was making heroin.
I thought you were someone. I'm gonna get you, sucker. No, not that one.
No, I'm talking about the black guy that was in it. He was in School Days. They had a spinoff called Better Call Saul. What's the original one called? Where Heisenberg?
Oh, I know you're talking about. I'm about to look it up. I know you're talking about. Yeah,
the black dude who was like he was trying to transport his product in chicken back. The black dude on there was on School Days.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Breaking Bad. That's it. Breaking Bad. I couldn't remember that for the life of me.
You know what? I didn't know what you were talking about. That wasn't what I was thinking about.
Have you ever seen Breaking Bad?
You know what? I never watched Breaking Bad.
Watch Breaking Bad, bro. You gotta watch it. It is really good.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people say it's good, so all right, cool. All right.
So nothing else. You got something you want to say?
No, bro. Thanks, everybody. Peace in Jesus' name.
All right, bro. Everybody have the rest of your Sabbath and a good week, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace in Jesus' name.